Heretic, directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. Before I start gushing about the cast, and more notably Hugh Grant, I do want to talk about just my overall thoughts of this film and the story and the writing specifically. The screenwriting is what really stands out to me in this film. I thought the film was incredibly stimulating. A good portion of this film, even though this is considered a horror film, a good portion of this film is dialogue. A good portion of this film is intense and stimulating and interesting dialogue about religion, about theology. And I thought the writing was really, really good, really engaging. It constantly was sparking ideas in my mind. It was making me. I think the directing and writing did a really good job of putting you in that position. And if you're a religious person or if you're raised religious and you have some sort of ties to that, I think you start the wheels start turning. Like, how would I be answering this? What do I believe? What don't I believe? And I thought that was really good because it was unlike other horror films where it's like, how would I escape? Like, would I grab a weapon? Would I run out the house? Or would I call the police? It was more like, how would I be answering these questions? And I found that very intellectually stimulating. So I love the writing of this film. And I just feel like in horror films, dialogue usually isn't the intense part. It's usually the action, the running, the scheming, And here it was the dialogue and the outsmarting and that sort of thing. I thought it was a very interesting story, and the ending is okay. So I'm not the type of person who's actively trying to figure out a film. I'm not someone who's like trying to figure out a twist, coming up with theories while I'm watching it. I do that if it happens naturally, but I'm not trying to do that consciously because I feel like that kind of takes you out of the film a little bit. I like to be fully immersed and just lose myself in the film. And if I start to be like, oh, I figured that out, then it happened. Then that's great, But I'm not. It's not something I'm actively trying to do, like many people I know. So I felt like initially when the film ended, I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that happened. And then when I just actually let it sit with me while the credits rolled, I was like, oh, wait a minute. There's meaning to this. And again, just upon more thought, I really appreciated the way this film ended. It's thought-provoking. It's not extremely obscure. Like, I don't think this film's gonna have a controversial ending or there's gonna be a ton of explained video. I mean, let's be real. People will make those videos. But I don't think you'll feel the need really to watch all those videos because it's obscure enough to where you're like, let me think about that. But it's not that hard to figure out, So I really like the ending. And it was an interesting ending. It was a bold ending. And I really appreciated the just overall the directing, the look. I think everything was working perfectly in this film. The acting, the two girls, both very entertaining, very good actresses. And they both had their own personalities and they delivered them in very believable ways, I think. And I like how they were both pretty competent girls. I guess final girls, if you want to call them that. They were both pretty competent. Like, one of them is obviously much more classic Christian, classic Mormon, One of them is just very, like, when you're put in, like, if you've seen the girl with the dragon tattoo and that amazing conversation about people don't follow their instincts and how they risk being rude than following their actual survival instincts and to just get out of this sketchy situation. And that when they know they're about to die, they try to be polite, they try to beg, they try to all that. That conversation and the girl with the dragon tattoo kept popping into my mind during this film. But in a good way, because I felt like these characters were smart. Like, as soon as things started to seem weird, they immediately started to act and be like, should we leave? What should we do? And I like that. It wasn't like the obvious good Christian girl. I thought she could have been a dumb cliche of like, no, that would be rude. We should stay. And like, don't be silly. You're overreacting. And the audience is just like, oh my God, So I like that they were both pretty competent and they had common sense. And as the action started to progress and things started to get more violent and horrific, I did like how she started to show more of her competence even more. And then the other girl with the black hair, Sophie Thatcher, she's like the smarter one and the more outside the box thinker. But like I said, I think there was a good balance between the two. It wasn't like she was carrying the movie or she was carrying them, trying to really figure her out, and the other girl was just a useless crybaby. They were both pretty good, and I really like that. and Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant, man, he's awesome. I ever since The Gentleman, um, if you've seen The Gentleman, the movie, I love that movie. I have a video on it. I have a video on the Netflix series, but I also talk about the film a bit. And I love that film. It's so entertaining, so funny, and I feel like that might be the first time Hugh Grant entered this era of his acting career of just being like a weird, funny, interesting, eccentric, and like yeah, he just like he calls it his freak show era. Which is pretty funny way to describe that. But man, his acting, his improv, because it has to be improv because he's like the same in all these roles. They're just different character motivations, but very similar personalities. And he's just so entertaining, so funny. He makes such tense, dark situations humorous to me. And I'm not saying I would want Hugh Grant to play the Joker, but I just feel like the type of dark humor he does in this film, to me, is like Joker-esque. And not in a like again, not in a laughing, manic way, but just little humor bits that like the audience is in a place of like shock and seeing something horrific or something, and then he'll just like slip in a quick little joke, and it hits you like a couple seconds later, and you're like, what the hell, this freaking guy. He elevated the film. He elevated the entertainment aspect of it all. Yeah, this was a really great film, really entertaining film. I would definitely see this again. I want to see this again in theaters. I will say that just my own personal taste, sensibilities, however you want to word it. I wish the film would have gone in a different direction. I don't want to give spoilers, but there's a build up to a reveal, and I felt like I thought I knew where. Well, actually, I didn't know specifically where the reveal was going to go, but I wanted it to be in a very big way, and I wanted it to be, I don't know, just I wanted it to be mind blowing in that type of reveal. And I was slightly let down that it was much more of a, I guess, philosophical reveal than a big in scope reveal, and that's cool too. It didn't do anything ridiculous where it was trying to subvert my expectations, and nothing too simple where it was just like a very simple answer. It wasn't lazy. Again, this film does not have lazy writing, so I still appreciate it. I still really enjoyed the film, but I was slightly let down because of that. But yeah, now that I accept it and I know what the film is, great film, highly recommend it. Very entertaining, very good horror film, very smart horror film, I think. And yeah, let me know if you guys have seen the film, your thoughts, and thanks for watching.